from this side. I don't know if it's a wet one from the other side, wherever you are, locked on to the sound of Lagos. This is Mainland 98.3 FM, but beautiful morning to you wherever you're listening and you all locked on this frequency. You're welcome on board to the Morning Express. We always like to make sure that we fulfill a part of the bargain to make sure you have a very fantastic day with this frequency, especially the morning, to make it all encompassing, to keep you abreast and updated of what's happening in around us, in our environment, in our society, in our state, in our country, in the continent, and the world, right? And so you're welcome on board. It's Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, and right, this is where we peruse the pages of our dailies to see what's going on, what the newspapers, major newspapers, have in store for us. The Punch newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, and the Guardian newspaper. And we'll also not just look into them, we'll give several analyses and perspective to them with the help of our in-house analysts. Yes, Side Forward. He'll be joining us on the other side as well, and he'll be giving perspective to this issue to better understand what we have in our dailies. Right. But you can join us on Facebook and YouTube, yes, to enjoy an audiovisual experience at Mainland 98.3 FM. That's the handle at Mainland 98.3 FM. That's the handle. And you can also listen via Radio Garden. You can download the Radio Garden app on Google Play Store or Apple Store, depending on the kind of phone that you use. And of course, you get to join the conversation, right? So you're welcome on board once again. My name is Dukbe Akinyosoye, and trying to get through and get across to our in-house analyst this morning, so we can kickstart without further ado and get to see what's going on in our newspapers this morning. Trends in the papers it is. Give me 5 seconds and I'll be back.
Knowledge is power. Information is key. And that is why we aim to unlock the doors of opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. The Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Welcome on board the Morning Express.
Good morning.
You are listening to the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Good morning.
To the Morning Express, Trends in the Papers on Mainland 96.3 FM. Thank you for standing by. Join us on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM to enjoy an audiovisual experience. Good morning, Side Forward. Good to have you.
Good morning, Lady. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Good morning. How are you too?
I'm good, very good.
Okay, fantastic. Good to know that. I mean, I just don't want to talk about the weather anymore. I think we should already get used to whatever the weather has decided to, throw at us, as a result of different factors which we are already aware of, right? So you're welcome on board to Trends on the Paper. Side Forward.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, the Punch newspaper, the Guardian newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper. Let's see what's going on, and let's start from what is majorly important to the electorate, especially when election is so concerned. and the several debates. I mean, even legal experts, political analysts, school of thought, several quarters have been, clamoring, have been talking about the delay, most especially in the passage of the amendments bill. That's the electoral bill. And but we're getting reports that the Senate will today resume the deliberation on the controversial Electoral Act Amendments Bill, which has been amounting to public outrage and pressure over the delays that critics say could jeopardize the credibility of the next election, that's 2027 general election. But it was gathered that the upper chamber had planned to conclude the work on the bill and transmit it this week, because we talked about the fact that they inaugurated a 7-member ad hoc committee which were mandated to harmonize senators' positions and resolve outstanding issues in the proposed legislation. That was during their plenary last Thursday after a 3-hour closed-door executive session during which the lawmakers subjected the Electoral Act, that's the repeal and enactment bill, to further scrutiny. With the chairman of the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, NII. We also had among the committee Adamu Aliero, Aminu Tambo, Adam Soshomole, Danjuma Goje, Tony Nwoye, and Title Zam as members of the committee. And of course, the Senate President Apabi had said that the committee was given a maximum of 3 days to complete its assignments and submit its reports today, to allow the Senate to resume consideration of the bill. And so we're getting report that, of course, that is going to be brought on board. But the major issue is the fact that, and yes, we could recall that the lower chamber had actually passed the bill, the provision of the bill, that's with the Senate leader Opoyemi Bamidele outlining the key provisions of the bill, describing it as a major step that is going to improve our electoral credibility and safeguard institutional independence. But the concern, especially from legal expert, political analyst, is the delay. Why do you still need to constitute a committee to go on and just make marolling and just parabolating about the thing that we all clearly see? Human rights lawyer, that's Femi Falana, also even last week, slammed the National Assembly for repeatedly postponing the passage of the amendments. That the delay is somewhat, not necessarily, really, especially if you are looking towards the 2027 election side forward.
Well, Lady Mo, it's now a race against time, whether we like it or not. It's already delayed, so we can't continue to talk about why it was delayed or not. Already, there are no reasonable explanations to why we waited till this time for us to have an amendment to the Electoral Act 2022. We all talked about the shortcomings of the 2023 elections. It was a major conversation. Are you with me, Lady Mo?
Yes, I am.
It was a major conversation. We saw the glitches. Almost 98% of all the elections conducted in 2023 was eventually decided by the courts. So with that amount of litigation on the electoral process, you'd expect that, look, the gray areas we had identified would have gotten what you can call reasonable and timely attention of the National Assembly. But again, this is an assembly that will go down in history as the most unserious, the most unserious, if you ask me. But again, we would have to make do with what we have. As of today, they are still the representatives of the people. Hello? Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. Go ahead.
So even there are aspects of the amendment bill that is getting a lot of Nigerians excited. If you ask me, a lot of Nigerians are excited, for example, on the transmission of results, electronic transmission of results, right, for it to be a part of our law, so that it's not just a provision, electoral so that it's one thing to be an INEC provision on how elections to be conducted. It's another thing for it to be a constitutional requirement,
right, for it to be electronically transmitted.
Because it could just be a guideline, like we saw in the last election.
Yeah.
That look, the electronic transmission of results (IRES) is not a constitutional requirement. It was just an electoral election guideline of INEC. So if we can have it as something mandatory, as a constitutional requirement to conducting our elections, I think a lot of Nigerians will be excited about it. I've seen people who have said, "Oh, there are no internet, there are no look." Again, some of these things you just laugh about it. Look, in the most remote part, the most remote parts of the world, you have Starlinks. That's Elon Musk's internet connection. That's no barrier. So if you want to get something done, we always get it done. Lady Mo, I say what of the, because they don't know that look, there are internet connections now, wireless internet connections that have no barrier. There's no way in the world that you cannot connect to it. All you need to do is to ensure that the facility is provided in those areas. So there are several ways of getting these things done. We can't continue to give excuses on why we cannot get these simple and basic things done. If you understand what I'm saying, it's about the willingness to do the right thing. There's also the part of these electoral reforms that we are hoping will scale through. And that's the idea of concluding all election litigations, all election matters in court before swearing in. Lady Mo.
Right.
That because once you swear in the winner of the election and the case is still in court, you swear in the governor, he automatically now has more money because he now has access to the resources of the state to fight his case in court. And with a very questionable judiciary. If I say questionable, I'm sure you already know what I'm saying.
All right.
More resources in the hand of the governor or even the president may make it extremely difficult for the challenging candidate to win the election in the courts. So it is only fair, understanding the limitations of our system, that look, electoral matters in courts are concluded before swearing in. So what it means is that again we have to adjust our timetable. I think what we have now is an amendment that has seen that look, all election matters are to be concluded within 10 months.
Right.
The tribunal, the appeal, and for those that get to the Supreme Court within 10 months, it must be concluded. But we can reduce the time or find a way to conduct our elections early enough to allow for all of these litigations to end before the winner or whoever is sworn in. That's also one aspect of these reforms that people are hoping will scale through. But as it stands, it's a race against time. Really more. There are also other aspects of the electoral amendment bill. For example, the issue of vote buying. I don't know what we're going to do with that, anyways.
Penalty.
Because but let's see whether these things will scale through. Let's see whether the bigger
concern, beyond the delay, the bigger concern is because it has been debated that they don't look like the body. Their body language look like they are going to achieve this before the next election, because anything that is not in the interest of all these politicians, it drags a lot when it's not in their interest. So what electorate and the legal experts are expecting is the passage before this 2027 election.
For 2022, the reality is that look. Hello,
I can hear you. Go ahead. The reality is that
the reality is that look, we have a 360 days timeline for the elections to be declared. For the admin to make a declaration for the upcoming elections. So what we are saying is that look, this thing can still be done. We have like about 2 to 3 weeks. We can quickly sort this out. But again, after the passage of the bill by the Senate, it will still be harmonized and then transmitted to the president for assent. It means that we have to rush some of these things through. But again, let's just keep our fingers crossed. Let's see what will happen at the Senate sitting today. That in itself will now show whether there's real commitment to the electoral amendment or not, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
So let's just keep our fingers crossed and see what happens at plenary today.
Well, We hope that we get what we want, especially the electorate before the next election. And we
table, like I said, there are several aspects of it. I've only highlighted just about 2 or 3. But, the information is out there for people to see. The question is, what will be the standing of the Senate? What will be the areas of the amendment that will scale through? Which ones are going to be dropped? Will there even be any amendment at all, or we're still going to have to work with the electoral out 2022?
The need for the amendments really in the first place. Away from that, quickly, let's talk about, questioning the subnationals when it comes to the delivering of good governance, especially when you're getting your share and then it's not translating to good governance to the residents and the citizens of the several states in the country. The Punch newspaper is also capturing this very big topic about the big money, small impact scenario we have in all our states, and governors are also facing fire over the 9 trillion naira FAAC windfall. The Punch newspaper is reporting that despite receiving an estimated 9 trillion naira in the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee inflows last year, that's 2025, that the state governors are still facing, mounting criticism from labor unions, from civil society groups, from opposition parties over what, they describe as a widening gap between soaring revenues and limited improvement in citizens' welfare. Federation account disbursement data that was published by the National Bureau of Statistics and collated by the media, and highlighting the scale of the revenue windfall that flowed to subnational government in 2025 amid higher federation inflow. And the sharp rise has definitely triggered criticism from organized labor, from opposition political party, like I mentioned earlier, even with the Nigeria Labour Congress warning that higher allocations have failed to deliver meaningful improvements in citizens' welfare due to weak governance, misplaced priorities, and corruption at the state level. Summary of it all, of what the report is all about, is just the translation of more revenue for the state, but we are getting lesser impact in delivering of good governance and also infrastructure improvement, development in all the states. Even the president, always, I don't know why he's now, quiet about it now, but he had been vocal about, holding our governors by the jugular, especially the subnationals, to make sure, I've given them more money, but then they're still not doing what they are supposed to do. We're still getting this, back and forth and critics still yet now, aside for it.
Well, again, I'm not sure that Nigerians voted for this president to give more money to the governors. I'm not sure it was. I don't think it was a campaign promise. If you understand what I'm saying, I don't think that there was any time where the president has said that, you know what, I'm going to get you more impoverished, but don't worry, whatever monies I take away from you through subsidy removal, through floating of the currency, through all of the so-called policies that we have today, the proceeds, I will just give it to your governors. And I don't know the logic, the wisdom in hoping that we have a very corrupt system that I'm sure the president is also aware of. Because we are talking about a well-established, well-grizzled, well-experienced politician who himself knows a lot of these politicians. He knows what they do. He knows who they are. He knows how weak our system is. You understand? I can begin to make excuses for him. If it was just one president who went to go and import from a foreign country to come and run the country for some time, I'll say, oh, he doesn't understand the system. If he just brought him in, maybe he thinks the system is like where it's coming from. We are talking about a man who has been in politics at least effectively from around 1992. Ever since, he's been the de facto leader of Lagos State. He understands how corrupt our governors are and how weak the system is. So I don't understand the wisdom of taking money from people, raising government revenue, and handing it over to the governors, hoping that will translate to better living and better welfare for the people. It's just like when you go and fetch water and you pour it into a basket and you are hoping that you have any water left to do anything. But you are he knows them, they know themselves. These are not something we know. And that's why we're saying that, look, you cannot own that by stifling the people, taking monies away from them. Oh, the argument, oh, it was only the rich that was benefiting from subsidy. As it stands now, have you seen the rich complaining that subsidy has been removed? Is it not the poor that is complaining bitterly? So where is the wisdom in taking monies from the people and handing it over to a very corrupt political structure? What is the corruption index of the country to now own that more monies to government given to the governors will not translate to anything? And that's why you can see that he himself is completely frustrated with the governors, apart from the political arrangement they have among themselves, which is geared towards 2027. When it comes to real governance and impacting the lives of the people, I'm sure if you lock the president up somewhere and ask him real questions about what he thinks about the people he's giving money to, he will be completely disappointed.
So,
about politics, yes.
So are you saying that the translation should all come from the federal level? Because in of government, where we all face our state, each challenge is peculiar to each state. Let's face it, get your revenue, do whatever is wrong with your state and all of this. But if you're saying, because yes, there's a place of, I get what you're saying. There's a place of tackling corruption. There's a place of knowing that the state, the subnational, they know they are well aware of the challenges that is going on in the state and what to do to the state to translate whatever revenue they are getting either from federation or at their state to good governance and
the creation of states and local government. The idea then was also to ensure that governance was closer to the people. That was the idea. But what we have seen with Nigeria and so many other countries too, is that look, the system that people just came back from Morocco that hosted the Nations Cup.
Yes.
You know, so we can from now till tomorrow. Let's go back to regionalism. Let's go back. Look, I even see people blaming Lord Lugard. That's what was it's about leadership, commitment to nation building, and that's why some of us are advocates of electoral reform, so that we can have a situation where people of sound mind say, look, I want to be a governor in this state, and the people will trust that person and vote for the person, and the vote will count for the person to emerge. But this is the ᴏᴜᴜ politics we are doing. This godfatherism we are doing, because we have a very flawed electoral system. It's taking us nowhere and will never take us anywhere. So look, the reality is that we keep deceiving ourselves. We keep recycling the same. Look, people say, how do you do the same thing the same way and expect a different result? For 4 years we do the same thing the same way that has produced no result, and we expect a different result. We are so tolerant of flawed electoral system, and everybody is a potential leader, and so we must continue like that. More money. Is the federal government not getting more money?
Almost more
than the larger chunk of the revenue.
Yes,
a larger, more than half of it is domiciled in the hands of the federal government. What have they done with it? Oh, they should go and ask our governors. What of you? What has the federal government done tangibly with those money they've got? I'm not saying we should not ask governors critical questions. I agree, but more than 52% of the entire revenue is still domiciled in the hands of the federal government. What have they tangibly done with it? Odombo do 0 plus 0 is 0. You don't know.
Side forward, you mentioned about, you've established the fact that regardless of the system of government, the concern here is the political will to make happen to deliver good governance regardless of the system of government.
What kind of government are they practicing? You're not a monarchy.
Now you mentioned about the Electoral Act. Since this is the system you are working with, but we should strengthen our Electoral Act. Sorry to take us back to the electoral amendment. Now
it is related.
Don't you think even with the passage of this amendment and we still practice money politics, do you still see a change in the strengthening of these electoral? Because you know what I'm talking about when I mean money politics, right? And I don't think independent candidacy is part of the amendment.
Well, you see, that's why some of us are clamored for holistic, complete review of the Electoral Act. A complete review of the Electoral Act, holistic, not piecemeal approach to this matter. But since that's what we want to do, they say our bread is better than we have.
Okay.
Look, the issue of independent candidacy, the powers of the president to appoint INEC chairman, the independence of the INEC, funding, a lot of things have been suggested as far back as 2009, so that we don't continue to sound like a broken record. But you can see that our politicians are not really committed. Even the delay that we have now in amending the Electoral Act goes to show that it's not something they are really committed to doing. People are talking of forcing one. So the delay in itself is to show you that in their mind of mind, that they are not really committed to it or believe in it. People go stay there, what the ballot box, just some manner of nonsense that you cover the elections and you see how ridiculous some of these things are. The largest democracy in the world, there's only 10% of the entire election conducted that goes to court. That's India. Once people lose, they just accept the results of the election and move on with their lives. But here, everybody after the elections, our lawyers defecting this ridiculous ritual every 4 years, and we expect that anything will change. That's why I keep saying that where did the idea of more money to government to be handed over to politicians will now translate to better living for the people? In the idea in a very corrupt system, ridiculously corrupt environment.
Well, Said, thank you very much. Newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, the Guardian newspaper, as much. And we are Said for giving analysis to them. Okay, so someone mentioned that, so you can join the conversation via Radio Guardian. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Quickly, Said, let's move on. Let's talk about the power and the practice of carrying electricity subsidy cost alone. Right, they want to extend that to the states. So they're announcing a framework that will spread the burden across the federal, the states, and the local governments from training and sensitization workshop for ministries, departments, and agencies on the 2026 post-budget preparation process. And he's saying that the president had directed that the electricity subsidy cost be made explicit, tracked, and fairly shared across the tiers of government, and also warning that the current approach creates hidden, that when tariffs are held below cost, that a gap is created, and a gap is a subsidy, and a subsidy is a bill. And so he's saying that from 2026, the federal government would no longer treat electricity subsidies as an open-ended obligation, which is definitely borne solely by the center, especially where policy decisions and political benefits are shared. And so they are stopping pretending that this bill can be left to the federal government alone, especially when policy choices and all of that. So according to the president, they have given instruction that the existing electricity sector legal framework level.
The summary of the story, all the Turingi summarized, simply means that the federal government is saying that they cannot solely carry the burden of electricity subsidy again. So they want to be sharing it with the states. That's the summary. Every other story just so that look, we cannot by ourselves alone. As it stands, I think the figures we have, if I'm correct, is that electricity subsidies now is about 2 trillion.
2 trillion, yes.
Yes, that's about 2 trillion. So the federal government is saying that what, the states too, we cannot carry it alone. So for Nigerians who are still wondering as to why they are paying more and getting less in terms of services when it comes to electricity supply, the government is still insisting that look, even what you are paying, you better know that we are still subsidizing it heavily. You understand?
Right.
And so we will not be able to carry the burden alone. Now that the states are also setting up their electricity regulatory commissions, we will find a way to also share the burden. So to them, that makes it more transparent and more sustainable. So the question will now be, when we get to the point where the states can say, no, we cannot be a part of it, what it means is that tariff would have to go up. So Nigerians will just be prepared for a period where the tariffs will go up if the states decline to share the burden of actually subsidizing. Is it the gas supply, the generation, the transmission,
or
the distribution? Who is counting the cost This their so-called service reflective tariff, no, cost reflective tariff, sorry. Who sat down to put calculated this, for example, the band A, which the minister has said is the cost reflective, this 209 kilowatt per hour that we are paying. Who did the calculation? From the supply of gas to generation to transmission and distribution. Number two, we must also understand that part of the problem is also the issue of foreign exchange. Because, you know, a lot of these gas suppliers and what we operate in the power sector are dollarized. So when we talk about solving one problem to create multiple other problems, this is an example. You float the currency, remove subsidy, look at where we are. You solve one problem to create thousands of other problems that we cannot even solve again. I don't know. Again, we just have to deal with this reality.
All is well, really. I mean, in every sector, whatever sector you want to call. Well,
you look at health now, problem. You look at education, problem. Power sector, problem. Infrastructure, problem. Politics, problem. Electoral amendment, problem.
All is well with us. Still about
what has no problem?
What has no problem? Social.
Chop. Borrow beggars still, even if you're able to afford. Our politicians know how to take care of themselves without trouble.
Well, still about the, still in the power sector. The Guardian newspaper quickly captured on the utility debt. That's the South Africa briefly restoring power to Nigeria High Commission. So authorities in South African city of Xiwen have disconnected and they later restored the electricity supply to the Nigeria's High Commission in Pretoria after the diplomatic mission had settled outstanding utility bills at Jᴏ owed to the municipality. And so
because for you to have made the news, very simply put, but we have paid. They say they restored the light now.
Was it a case that the money was not available, or I know
it is only according to the report now, the High Commission has not issued any.
Yeah.
To be embarrassed, what High Commission was South Africa. No, I was hoping to see whether there will be a statement from the Nigerian Commission to explain that where there was no money, we were hoping to get money.
Yeah.
Person who runs the High Commission I even borrowed us money to pay. But the story is that in South Africa, the Nigerian Commission, house, the power was disconnected from it because we're owing. It's unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate.
Highly embarrassing.
Really. Let's hope. Let's wait if they are still going to talk about it, because I really want to know what exactly it is. Is it the availability, or it was available and then
to pay? Maybe they didn't see the bill in time.
Okay. Oh, they sent the mail, but it's possible. It's possible. Okay. I get it. All is well. Back to the Punch newspaper. We're getting reports also that the US is set to deport 79 Nigerians on criminal list. The US Department of the worst criminal list. According to findings on the website, the DHS website yesterday, they revealed that 79 Nigerians were convicted of offenses bordering on fraud, drug peddling, assault, manslaughtering, and robbery, among others. And an accompanying note showed that the convicts were arrested as part of the United States crackdown. Yes.
I don't know if you've seen it.
And names.
The list also with names, pictures, the offense they are committed, and so they are already awaiting deportation. But again, it's what it is. This is the period where, as an immigrant, you better have your papers correct and never be on the watch list for committing crime. As an immigrant already, you have a problem with Donald Trump. So just imagine that you are also a criminal immigrant and they catch you. It makes your case very easy for you, So it's unfortunate, but it's just what it is, that these guys will be coming back home.
Right. Quickly, away from that, a very sad incident that happened in Lagos State. The Punch is also reporting a grieving father, Henry, who is now demanding justice over the death of his son. Matthias, who reportedly drowned in a swimming pool at an hotel in around the Ajao Estate area of Lagos State. You know, he mentioned yesterday saying that his deceased son had attended a pool party at the hotel that was on Saturday evening to sell tickets to earn some money, and he, however, said he received a call from one of his son's elder brothers that the son, that's Matthias, had been rushed to the General Hospital in Isolo, and that a family member was urgently needed. And he narrated that on arrival at the hospital, he was shocked to see that his son's lifeless body in the car that brought him to the medical facility. Quite an unfortunate thing.
He thinks that, look, this is not a case of drowning. I think he suspects that his son may have been killed because he said, according to the father again, allegedly there are funny marks on the corpse of the boy, and that he doesn't even appear like someone who had drowned. His bodies were not swollen, his stomach was flat, and so these are cases where an autopsy would quickly solve the problem. I also expect that such a hotel will also have CCTV cameras.
Right.
I like the fact that the police have made the arrest. You know, that's the way we do. We arrest before we investigate. I think they will also demand for CCTV recordings. Let's hope that one is even working. It's not one hotel that I'm going to get, you know. So, but whatever it is, I think an autopsy, a review of the CCTV cameras. If there are people who are also taking videos and pictures while the party was going on, because according to the father too, despite the boy being rushed to the hospital and confirmed dead, that the hotel did not stop the party.
So it even bears more concern and suspicious.
Yeah, that's what the father is saying.
It bears more
concern. The party went on. And you know what also came to mind is that, you know, these are our young ones. They might not even consider it as anything. Until launch here and here. You know, they have a very locked mind. I'm taking the care. Half of them may be on drugs. You understand?
Well, okay.
Look, you know that, look, when we were young, Lady Mo, if somebody dies in the streets, for like 3-4 days, some of us cannot sleep. In fact, to go into a dark part of the house becomes a problem. Hey, cops, while we're growing up, it's a problem.
No empathy.
For days, we may not be able to sleep. These days, people are killed, sometimes macheted, born to death. You see children. The mind is locked.
We have a long way.
So they might just even be at the party and say, they puff cigarette, let's party continue. That's how deranged some of our youth are now about some of these things.
Sad Fuad. Well, we just hope that the father Henry gets justice and get to see what really happened there. And quickly, just for the sake of information, the APC from the political scene ahead of their national convention that has been scheduled for March 27 and 28, 2026. The APC had yesterday, they had unveiled the 73 members.
That will not be delayed. That one is politics. There won't be any problem on that one.
Anyways, the Guardian newspaper is capturing on Malami, the former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, filing an application at the Federal High Court in Abuja seeking to set aside an interim forfeiture order placed on properties seized by the EFCC. The judge, that's Justice Emeka White, had on January 6th, he has ordered the interim forfeiture of 57 properties suspected to be the proceeds of unlawful activities, and the AFCC had alleged that the assets are linked to Malami and 2 of his sons, and then placed their combined value at 213.23 billion naira, and they secured the interim order pending the outcome of its investigation into the source of the funds used to acquire the properties. But in his application, Malami had challenged the forfeiture and urging the court to vacate the order, although the specific grounds for the request have not been disclosed. The court has fixed the date for hearing the application. I saw the list of the income, his property, how we got this one. You see, over 2 trillion, as 2 trillion naira is from personal. This one is from gift from friends. This one
from salary.
From salary.
The smallest is the salary.
Hey.
But you know what, Sage? You know what, Lady Mo? You know what? You know that there are politicians somewhere now looking at this old Malami story and kilo chicken.
Jesus. Eh?
Oh, Lady Mo. But they'll be looking at him and say, oh, you even thought he had more than this.
Trillions.
Look, even look, you know that there are civil servants who are not even politicians, who are just civil servants. If you see some of the ridiculous wealth, some of the things we know, Lady Mo, about the kind of wealth in the hands of some Nigerians who are not business owners or the businessmen or politicians, civil servants, you'll be shocked. It is you and I like this that are surprised about these. Look, as I'm talking to you, there are politicians. You know, also have businesses in real estate and what have you. So I know that Malami is just a joke.
It's still there.
That's why you see. Do you know that? That's why you see that our politicians are also very smart. They keep aligning and realigning themselves with the powers that be, so that nobody questions them. Where, for example, the Ifeanyi Okowa, the governor, jumped ship to go and align himself with the APC and now start to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Don't you know that Ifeanyi Okowa was the running mate to Atiku? How did he suddenly just change his idea to say, oh, I am now part of the APC? Where is his case today? Where are we on his corruption case with the EFCC? Ifeanyi Okowa, former governor of Delta State.
Well, if you continue to break this down, we will not leave here.
Let Malami be doing his own case. It's an active court case. Luckily, he's a lawyer. He's senior advocate of Nigeria. Know how to defend himself.
Well,
let us also hope that the EFCC also has a watertight case, because it's not about the media trial that we're going to obey on that basis. Send him to jail. He who alleges must prove. And must prove to a point where the judges are convinced that he deserves to be sent to jail.
Well, Said, for our time is fast spent. Let me just quickly just run through the other stories that we have. Quickly, the Guardian is also giving reports on the 50th anniversary of the creation of Ogun State, which had continued yesterday with Thanksgiving and prayer session in Abeokuta. And we're getting Obasanjo, some prominent politicians of the NLC and TUC and others from protesting. That's the National Industrial Court sitting in Abuja yesterday had issued an order of interim injunction barring the NLC and the TUC from embarking on any form of industrial action or protest in the FCT. Also, Professor Shibajo had lamented the current state of education in Nigeria, saying that the country is paying a heavy price due to the neglect of its schools, which he described as broken and unfounded, according to him. Well, yes.
On Ogun State, I saw a video friendly of President Obasanjo at that 50-year celebration of Ogun State. I'm sure because he was talking about the fact that Ogun State at 50 should continue to harness the opportunities of its proximity to Lagos. That the Anfanito one is when you are close to a state like Lagos, you begin to get the benefit. But he also talked for another day. I just want to highlight it.
Right.
So in the video, I heard him saying that when they steal money in Lagos, they run to Ogun State. Who are the people he's talking about? That Ogun State should be careful to take some of the RMO of Lagos that they are presenting to them. That they run from Lagos after stealing Lagos money and run to Ogun State. And Ogun State should be careful to take people like that. See, what's Baba saying?
This morning, thank you for your time.
God bless you.
God bless you too.